Hi guys, my name is Dawood. I'm one of the Eurosearch steering committee members. Today we'll be going over the data collection platform for the Apollo study. In order to navigate to this, the easiest way to begin is by going to the Eurosearch website, which is eurosearch.org, is by then going to the project hub and the Apollo study hub. If we then scroll to the bottom, we'll see this here linked to the REDCap platform. So the platform for submitting data for the Apollo study is REDCap, and this will bring you to the correct REDCap server. Once you get to this, I would bookmark this and save it for later for easier convenience of use. Now, in order to log into REDCap, your details for collaborator details should have been submitted by a hospital lead or regional leads if you're in the UK, and you should receive an email 1 week prior to beginning data collection. So please check your inboxes and your spam. So originally, the email will ask you to change your password, and after that, it'll be the same password as what you have set. So if we begin our login, username for me, and then your password, which should be emailed over to you, you'll be brought to something called the My Projects page. Now, it might look slightly different to this, but it'll be under the same tab, My Projects. Or you might log in and it might bring you to the home page, in which case you can always navigate to the My Projects. So I've just color coordinated mine, but under your projects page, you should see a project called the Apollo Data Collection Project. This is the one we're interested in. So your screen should also look something like this, but slightly maybe different. For example, you might not be able to see current users. So you'll have this sidebar on the left. So this should be the same for pretty much everyone. And the thing we're interested in is adding and editing records. So we'll click on this. Now, in order to enter a new patient detail, we'll click Add New Record. And then here is, for example, a patient we're going to add. So there's three parts of the data collection form: the baseline data, the management data, and the follow-up data. So we'll start with the baseline data. We'll click this circular button here, baseline data, and it should bring us to something like this. So the most important thing to remember here is first, please only enter data once you have local ethical approval in place. Once we have local ethical approval in place, then we can begin by adding the baseline data. So for example, patient's age in years, if I type in 18, the patient's sex, male, for example, and then the patient's ASA grade. Now, in case you're unfamiliar what an ASA grade is, we've placed an attachment here. So if you click on this clip icon here, it should bring you to a PDF, which kind of walks you through what an ASA grade is, and you should be able to apply that to the context of your patient. So the rest of the form is kind of really self-explanatory, and any fields which are slightly difficult, we've tried to help you along by putting these attachments. For example, a BMI calculator in case the BMI isn't calculated already and you have the height and weight available to yourself. For example, here then we have, please select all the comorbidities, tick all that apply. So you'll notice you can select multiple here. You can kind of differentiate which fields you can click multiple options as, because they'll be square, and fields which you can only select one option, they will be kind of circular. So if we had selected all of these, but then there's also an option, for example, they have none of these comorbidities, so just select this instead, and it'll tell you this is an error because you have selected none and some, so we'll clear the other errors. And then clinical frailty scale. So I would work my way through by entering the baseline data, including the disease details. For example, the date of the acute presentation. So for this, if you click on the calendar icon here, it will allow you to select a date. For example, we can select March 2023 and patient on the 16th, for example. Known cancer, yes, no, etc. And then again, calendar icon to select a date. Diagnosis of the cancer, etc. So work your way through this form as much as you can and try to get much data completion as possible. And once you're at the end of the form, let's say we haven't completed all of it, what we'll do is we'll leave it as incomplete and we'll go on to the next form. So if you don't see this option here, you would click on the triangle here and it'll be one of those. So save and exit the form is one option. Save and stay, save and exit to record and stay and go to the next. Record will take you to the next patient detail you want to enter, but we want to go to the save and go to the next form. And it'll give you a warning that all of these fields are incomplete in the previous form, in the baseline form. However, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ignore and go to the next form because we're aware that we haven't completed them, so we'll come back to them later. Now here is the management form. So you'll have curative, palliative, and then immediate management. So how was the patient management? Was there surgical management, procedural management, or non-operative management? So if we click surgical management, it'll give us a few options here. And if there was procedural management as well, if we select both of them, there'll be some further follow-up questions as well. Now, if we try to click, for example, non-operative management, it'll give us a warning because the contra indication here, because all three can't be true. They had either some kind of management or no non-operative management. So please correct this. Once all of these data are filled in, again, these clef icons should help you if there's any kind of uncertainty. And again, we haven't completed all of them, so we'll leave this as incomplete. And I'll get to the importance of this in a bit. So save and go to the next form. Again, we're going to ignore and go to the next form. Finally is the 30-day and 90-day follow-up data points. We'll try to fill in this as much as possible as you go along. And then incomplete. And we'll go save and exit form. So ignore and leave, and we can just click OK. Ignore and leave record, for example, if we click. So it'll bring us here. Now, where you'd want to see all the records of all the patients that we entered, you'd click on the record status dashboard. So this was record ID 2, so that was the patient we just entered. As you can see, all the dots are red here. So now let's say we know that that's an incomplete data point where we left off. We should go back and we have the data now to complete it. If I go, click on that icon, I'd fill in all the stuff that we'd missed. And then if we click complete here and save and exit the form, it'll appear green here. So that kind of indicates us that now we've completed this form. So if we go to the record status dashboard, again, so we can see it's green, which means to us when we enter patient data in the future that we know we need to come back to this, we've completed this, or the management is incomplete, we need to come back to this. Because if you click complete, you won't know which records you've fully completed and which ones you need to go back to. This will be really important for the follow-up stuff where you might have 30-day follow-up data available, but not the 90-day follow-up data at the moment. So you will want to come back to this. So leave it as incomplete and then complete once you have only done it to help yourself. And all the records that you add will be placed following subsequently here. So the only other thing is you should be able to add records, add a new record. You should be able to edit your existing records that you create through the record status dashboard, but you won't be able to delete records. So it's really important that you're really certain of which records that you're adding and they're the correct records. If you need to delete some records, I would recommend you go to the Eurosurge website, Apollo Study Hub, and please email us which records you would like to be deleted at this email address. However, this is time consuming, so it's really important that you get the correct records in the first place, in the first instance. If you want more information regarding what data points correspond to what pieces of information, I would click on the study protocol and I would go to the data dictionary. This would give much more detailed analysis on the data points and what they mean. So I'd have a thorough read of this as well for further information of the data points. Thank you very much. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email us at apollo.eurosurge@gmail.com.